What's up, y'all? Welcome to the show. My name is JD, and today we're going to be kicking it old school with some Romance of the Three Kingdoms 4 Wall of Fire. This is the 1995 PS1 version of the game. It's the fourth game in the series. If you're familiar with Dynasty Warriors series at all, this is the same officers and kingdoms that you've grown to love over the years. And I was motivated to make this video because my oldest son watches gameplay videos all day on YouTube, and he said he wanted to do it, so I kind of had to figure out how to do this. And I also saw a YouTube user, Desmond_KOF, he made a Let's Play Romance of the Three Kingdoms for this same game. And he asked about this opening intro. So this is the famous battle at Red Cliff, where Cao Cao's forces in the north are coming to attack the allied forces of Liu Bei and Sun Quan, and they're unused to naval warfare, so if you saw there, they chained their ships together. And this is Shu Han strategist Zhuge Liang. He is conjuring some favorable wind so that they can launch a fire plot and burn down all those ships in a giant wall of fire. And this is from the 1993 TV series Romance of the Three Kingdoms, which is based off the novel Romance of the Three Kingdoms, it has to do with the fall of the Han Dynasty in like 169 AD through the reunification in 280 AD by the Jin Dynasty. So it's a really great and very interesting period of time in human history. If you're interested in learning more about it, you can obviously Google search it, but I found a couple resources online that are really good. The Scholars of Shenzhou website, there's a ton of material to read there on the Romance games, Dynasty Warriors games too, but general history of the time too. And then I stumbled on this podcast called China History Podcast a few weeks ago. They deal with a much broader range of China history, but there are several episodes dedicated specifically to the Three Kingdoms era, so shout out to Laszlo Montgomery for putting that together. That's a fantastic podcast. I'll put some links in the description of this video. And quickly, I'm going to just lower the music because I know you all want to hear my amazing voice for the next few episodes and not hear the awesome music that's going to be in the background. We're going to start a new game. We're going to pick 201 AD, Cao Cao expands his domain. Like I said, it's 169 through 280 AD, but the scenarios have been trimmed up a little bit to get you where most of the action is. And the earlier scenarios, you get the opportunity to really build your forces up. It's a little bit more of a challenge to play in the later ones because, here, I'll just show you real quick. So, the Three Kingdoms are already out there. So, if you pick Cao Cao, you have a whole bunch of cities, or this is Cao Pi, his son, who's already an emperor at this point. But then we got Liu Bei and Sun Quan already. But it's kind of hard because the forces are already built. There's not much of a challenge. You're picking people that already have a sizable empire already. So we're gonna pick something challenging right here in the middle. We're actually gonna pick Liu Bei because he's got one tiny little city, relatively few number of officers, very low amount of troops. So this is particularly a challenging scenario because you gotta basically start from scratch with enemies all around you. And we're gonna pick historical, which means officers who would serve you, they are gonna come serve you. Fictional is a little different. New officers appear in the game. We're not gonna have new officers appear in the game. And this is for new officers that you have created, which I have created, but we're not going to play them. And then we're going to play on advanced. Everything is okay, and let's get started. And right off the bat, we've got a couple guys that want to come serve me. We've got some folk revolting in the land. And already in Jinye, people are revolting. That's not good. So, quick, let's go over the interface and what we're looking at. The upper left, we've got 201 AD, October, the city is Jinye. To the right, we've got some information panel. We've got a portrait of Liu Bei. The ruler's name, Liu Bei, is in red. The governor of the city is in green. The next line would be a military advisor if we had one, we don't. A civil officer if we had one, we don't. Population over 300,000. We've got 3,400 gold, 4,100 grain, 6,500 troops. They just chopped a couple zeros off. And we actually lost some troops because there was a revolt in our city. We've got 12 officers that can do our bidding and some of these tasks down there at the bottom. Our farm level is 60, our dam level is 36, our shop level is 35, our guild level is 34, and our popular support is dwindled down to 28. We want to get that up over 70 as soon as we can. So we've got our troop level training at 56, their spirit is 72, we've got no prisoners of war. That's the handcuffs, the flag. We've got one free officer. We'll find out who that is here in a minute. We've got no battering rams. Over there on the right, we've got 3 different levels of crossbow. They get progressively stronger. We've got 50 horses, and we've got no catapults. The last tab, we've got taxes that come in January and in July harvest. So right now, we're in the positive. We're going to get a little bit of money back come January, but we're going to lose grain come July, which we're going to have to address that in real short order here. The taskbar here at the bottom, Army, we're going to go through these commands pretty quickly. Army, move, that's to move officers and gold grain to another city. Send, that's to send gold, grain, or munitions to another city. We can only move officers, we can't send them. War, pretty straightforward, go to war. We'll dive into that a little bit more later. Draft, we can draft some more troops. Train, we can train our troops. Build, that's where we can build our armaments, crossbows and battering rams and catapults. Spy, we can spy on some different territories, which is very useful to know what's going on. Staff, we can search for new officers or items. We can recruit new officers. We've got a new officer in our city, so that's Wei Yan. That's great. We want to pick him up, but historically, he comes and serves me, so I'm not going to waste a turn on him right now, because he will come serve me anyway. Or hopefully, I'm going to cross my fingers on that. Reward, we can give rewards to our officers, gold or items. Give, we can give grain to the folk to get that popular support up, which we're desperately going to need to do. City, this is where you build up your farms and your dams. So the higher your farm level and the higher your shop level, the more gold you're going to get and more grain you're going to get come harvest and tax time. And we're going to throw some people on there right now. Let's just get that moving. Oop, we're going to leave him there. So just enough to kind of get them through the next 3 months. Market, we can sell grain, we can buy grain, and we can buy at 7-to-1, and we're probably going to do that here in a minute. Let's get through the rest of the stuff. So, buy and sell grain. So the best return on those investments is 9-to-1 on either one. I typically don't ever sell grain, I only buy it. Grain is way too valuable if you take into account getting your popular support up with grain, so you definitely don't want to buy grain or sell grain if you don't have to. You can buy crossbows, strong crossbows or horses. I really only buy grain and horses. That's all I really do from the market. Everything else you can either build, and you don't want to sell grain. Plot, you can hide people in other cities, you can bribe other officers to come join you in battle. You can have enemy governors rebel against their ruler. You can spread gossip, which will have the folk revolting or lower the loyalty of your enemy officers. Arson, you can burn grain and armaments. Study, you can study the levels of farms and dams and that stuff of an enemy city and kind of bolster your forces that way. Foreign. Quick note about foreign. Horses are the best foreign currency, bar none. And you'll see that in action here coming up pretty shortly. So we can ally with people. We can joint attack an enemy city with our allies. We can give a gift to lower ruler loyal or royal ruler hostility towards us. There, I can speak, I promise. Threat, we can threaten another ruler to surrender to us, which doesn't really happen that often. Revoke, we can revoke an alliance, but if we revoke an alliance before the time frame is up, our officer loyalty will dwindle. Swap, we can swap gold for prisoners of war. Invade, this is where horses come in handy. So we're going to pick the Shan Yu tribe here, and we can have, for one horse, we can let the tribes attack these cities and kind of go to war for us by proxy without us having to do anything, which is extremely handy. And as you can see, there's 3 different tribes right now: northwest, northeast, southeast. A southwest tribe comes in 208, and then I think we lose the northeast tribe. So there's only 3 tribes at a time that we'll ever see. And that was foreign. Let's go to ruler. We can delegate management of our city to the computer. Once you start getting 10, 15, 20 cities, it's pretty easy to just let the computer control, your feeder cities. Assign. Quickly, we'll go over assign. So in this city, we can assign an advisor, which would be either they'd have to have politics over 80 and mind over 90. I don't have anybody that good in my city. Civil officer, politics over 85. Don't have anybody over that, but I do have somebody who could be a marshal, where their lead and power combined has to be over 150. So I've got 1 additional marshal in my city. Governor, that's just a governor of a vassal city that you control. No other prerequisite for being a governor other than just having high loyalty and a cool portrait. Nobody wants to look at an ugly face, right? Am I right, guys? So under chief, we can, if we have more than 1 advisor in a city or more than 1 civil officer, we can have a chief of staff in those cities. So that's that. Next tab, I believe, is info. Self-explanatory, you get some information. Let's pick officer here. This is an at-a-glance look of all the officers we have. We can see and sort their lead, power, mind, politics, charm. Lead and power are good for war. Mind and politics are good for civil affairs and plots. And charm is really helpful for getting the popular support up. And let's look at the detailed view of an officer. So this is Guan Yu. He is a blood brother of the ruler Liu Bei along with Chang Fei. So that's his portrait right there on the left, and his rank is marshal. He's in the city of Jinye. He has not done his task for the month. He is not assigned a duty like farms or dams. His tenure is 1 year. Age 39, loyalty 100. We already went over lead, power, mind, politics, charm. His health is good. Now those other scores, lead, power, mind, politics, charms, those statistics, they go from 0 to 100. You can go past 100 with items. On to the talents, those blue and gray boxes. So the gray boxes are everything that you can do. The blue boxes are the ones that this officer can actually do. So he can't do foreign, but he can do spy. He can't recruit, but he can build. And foreign, spy, recruit, and build are the most important ones to have for civic affairs. Because you're always going to be managing your alliances if you have them, or you're always going to be sending people out to spy and recruit, and you're definitely going to be building up some armaments a little bit later on in the game. Bribe, rebel, gossip, arson, study, those are plots like I explained earlier. Infantry, cavalry, archery, naval, those are your proficiencies in battle. So Guan Yu is proficient with infantry units, cavalry units, naval units. Everything else from fire on, those are plots in battle that you can have. Fire, obviously, set some fire either to the ground around an enemy or set them on fire. Boulder, you can drop some boulders on people's heads, which is pretty good if you're defending from a castle battle. Provoke, we can get 2 enemy units to attack each other. Weather and wind, pretty self-explanatory. You can change the weather to be favorable to either, stormy or sunny. Wind, you can change the direction of the wind. Chaos is basically a confuse spell, and it'll confuse enemy units in battle. So something like chaos and provoke and fire, those are great. So if you can plot chaos on your enemy units, you can set them on fire, and then they can't move, and they'll just they'll just burn to death. Chain in a naval battle, you can chain your troops to chain your enemy units together and then burn them up in a wall of fire, like we saw in that video. Thunder, you can randomly strike down thunder on the battlefield. You may actually hit yourself, so be careful if you ever learn that talent. Repair, you can repair your castle gates if you've been attacked. Taunt, you can taunt enemy units to attack you. Lies, you can spread lies to reinforcement units of your enemy and they can leave the battlefield. Items, so he's got 2 items. He's got the Black Dragon, which is +6 to power, and the Red Hair, which will help him in retreats. If he does retreat, which Guan Yu does not retreat from battle. He gets his head chopped off. Really, it happened. Look it up. Vassal, if you have more than one city, you can, at a glance, look at all your cities. City, you can gain information on other cities. Events, locusts. So we've got locusts. No, we got plagues, epidemics in a few cities. No floods, no typhoons, no bountiful harvests, no scarce harvests. It's not July yet, so we won't know about that. Reports, we can get individual reports from inside the city, but I typically don't go in here much because I can see the numbers change anyway. And then the advice tab, we can have our officers give us some advice. If we had a military advisor or a civil officer, they would be giving us advice. Or visit, we can visit with guests in the city. And Sima Shi, he's one guy that can give us, actually, we can learn some new talents if we're lucky. So let's see what happens. Yep, let's see. He's learned the skill Bribe. That's awesome. So, Guan Yu has now learned Bribe. That's pretty awesome. So that guy can teach us new skills. And we're just going to get into some gameplay here real quick. We need to get our training up because we need to get ourselves a sizable force here. And we need to get it in pretty short order. So let's get some training going. We're going to let them train for 1 month. And the only reason we're only going to let them train for 1 month is because we want to get Guan Yu back. But he's already done his task and met with a visitor. And we want to search for free officers. We're going to let Yiji search Northern Jing. We're going to let Michu, we'll let him search down south. So remember I was talking about spying in different territories? So there are different territories within the game. If you can see those faint outlines, like that yellow outline up here, the orange one here. So we're going to let him search a territory. And we can spy in those territories as well too. But for right now, we're gonna search. We're not gonna go to war quite yet. And the reason I'm searching these specific territories is because we're playing on historical, and Liu Bei gets a lot of officers in the north and south Jing area, and then to the west out in the Riverlands, the Yi territory. And then we want to try to get our popular support up. But we're gonna buy 7,000 grain, because we're going to need that. Grain is more valuable than gold in this game, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to just take a look and see if there are any other free officers in the adjacent cities. So Wang Fu is free there. We may end up moving over to get him. Yeah, we'll probably pick up some of these guys. We're going to end our turn for now. And Wei Yan came to serve us, and we've got another visitor, that same guy, telling us somebody's item is rare. And Cao Cao, he's moving against Yuan Shao, which is that's a historical battle. I think that's up in Guangdu. That's another major battle in that area. So he found somebody that wouldn't come serve me, but I bet you this guy's in our city. Yeah, Jiang Long. He's actually a really good officer. Yep, we're going to have him come serve us. He's got spy and recruit. We'll let him come serve me because he is one of those guys that serves Liu Bei. We're actually going to assign Wei Yan to be a marshal. And since we had Guan Yu meet with somebody before. Now he's available to come train, which is going to be great. We're going to let him assist in the training for a couple months. I like to plan everything around the July harvest and the January taxes. So if you see me doing things for 6 months at a time, then that's what I'm doing. I don't think there's anything else I can do right now. So we're going to end our turn, and he's going to come serve me out of loyalty. I love it. We've got another free officer in our city. I bet you that's Wang Fu who's moved over. Yep, he's going to come serve me as well too. So we're not going to bother recruiting him, but we are going to move into some of these adjacent cities, not for overall control, but I'll tell you why we're doing that in just a second. A little stuffy there. Pardon my snorting. So, in January, next month, we're going to get 3,000 gold here, and we're going to get 2,400 gold there. So, we've got a couple free officers. So we're moving into those cities literally just so we can get the gold, and then we're going to retreat back into Jinye and just work on that city for a little bit. Let's see what we got going on here. Okay. And I think that's all we can do. I think I'm going to give some grain to the folks here. And we're going to end our turn into... Okay, so Sun Quan, he has moved and attacked Cao Cao. That's a pretty good indicator that he's not going to move west right away. Yes, come serve me. Yes, you can come serve me. We got some folk revolting. I bet you it's going to be in one of our cities. Yep. Wan. Oh, we're being attacked by Cao Cao right off the bat. Look at that. So we are not going to face them on the battlefield. We're actually going to just... We're actually just going to leave that city. That typically doesn't happen, so that's going to cause me a little bit of concern because now we've got Cao Cao on our doorstep. We're going to put Sun Quan up there, and what we're going to do is we're just going to flee. We're going to flee everything to Jinye. Yep. So that's going to change up the complexity of what we got going on because now we've got Cao Cao in our back door. And that's not good. Because he's pretty strong. He may end up attacking us here. So let's hope that does not happen. We're going to move out of that city as well too. And see if we can buy any other... Okay, 8-1. We'll come back and get that in just a second. But we're going to put a few guys here. We're going to reset how we have them. We'll put the best guys on our farms and dams to start with. And we're going to assign 1,000 gold to each one of these. We'll come check here in July at the harvest and see how they've done. Let's buy grain at 8-1. Actually, let's do this first. Let's send a couple guys out to search because we still want to find some officers. The rest of the guys we're going to use to train because we're going to draft here as well too. Well, let me see if I can get one of these dirty rotten tricks off. Nope, can't do it right yet. Well, you'll see what I'm talking about here shortly with some of these little tricks that I've learned over the years. And we're going to buy, we've already gone to city, we're going to buy quite a bit of grain here because we need it. And I'm kind of OCD with numbers, so we're going to try to leave ourselves with 3,000 gold. Let's see first here. Yeah, we should be able to do this. So 8 times 4 is 32. 8 times 7 is 56. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 8 times 5 is 40. And then another 8,000 would make it 12. So if I've done my multiplication right, we should have 3,000 gold and over 19,000, close to 20,000 grain. And I did. Over 20,000. That's good. And we need that grain right now because we need to get our popular support up. Yes, Guan Yu, you can do that. We'll do it one more time. 792. 77. We got some nice round numbers there. And we're going to... Oh, we can't train, so we have to draft. We're going to draft 35, give us 100. We're actually going to send somebody, and we can't spy right now. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and train for 1 month. We'll come back and train here in a little bit. And I think I'm going to save it for now right here. I think we're pretty far enough into seeing this intro video. We'll come back and we'll talk. We don't want to save over a Cao Cao game. We want to save over a Liu Bei game. And we'll come back and we'll talk about long-term strategy and how we're going to deal with Cao Cao having moved down into WAN right on our doorstep in the next exciting episode of Romance of the Three Kingdoms.